Hello everyone, Dominic here from Esports News UK. Hope you're well. How are you all doing? So I've got a bit of a different video for you today because I get asked this question quite often, and to help people in the future understand my reasoning behind this, I thought I'd put together a video. I'm going to use some examples and try and give you some insight into a publication's house style and why specifically I uncapitalize certain words that have been capitalized, like team names or brands, company names, that kind of thing, and where my thinking is with this, because it's in my background. I've been trained as a journalist. My background's in magazines to standardize. So say for example, I don't know, you've got an article, and in that article you're talking about Valorant, Lego, Sega, XL Esports, right? Unlikely, but just for example's sake, all those entities capitalize all their brands, right? Are you going to be mentioning those words every few sentences or however else? To me, that those capitalizations, they get the attention of you, right? Your eyes naturally fall to those big words. The job of a journalist is to make things really clear, simple, easy to understand. And for me, part of that is the house style with wording. But I'm going to use some examples before I jump right into this. So before I go in, this is the date style for Esports News UK. Now, my background in magazines, I've worked for MCV, PC Retail, MCV's Market for Computer Video Games, a weekly trade title. We followed a style sheet, and you had to follow that style sheet because to be standardized for the rest of the magazine, right? So that you don't on one page have Lego capitalized and then on another page you have Lego with a capital L and a lowercase EGO, right? Like a usual noun. So you need to follow a standardized house style sheet. Now every publication will have their own house style guide. For me, I've taken a lot from what I picked up at MCV. I've adapted it slightly to the online world. But, dates, for example, it's been ingrained in me over the years to do the day, month, date, year. Monday, August 16th, 2021. You'll get press releases that will say things like 17th and 18th of August. You can write like that, absolutely. But I standardise it on Esports News UK so we don't have things looking different on different articles, right? So that's the first thing there. I'm going to give you some examples here of press releases. Now, these press releases you can find generally publicly. They tend to get sent to journalists to help us write the news, right, and write the stories, and people that send out press releases, often PRs, whether in-house or external, will want coverage and positive coverage for them, for their brand, for whatever they're doing. Now, this is an example of right, okay, so this is, I think, a Riot press release here. This, I think, is a bit of a... This was back in June 2021. Riot Games Valorant climbs to over 40 million active PC players. Okay, I'm not going to go too much into the news because it's old now, but take a look here. Obviously, Riot writes Valorant all capped up. That's fine, and I respect that, and they will, obviously, Riot will use that across their different channels and so on. Looking at this press release, I don't know about you, but when I look at it, my eyes naturally fall to Valorant. And that's fine, I guess that's one of the things, right? If journalists or content creators or whatever write Valorant like that, it catches your eye. It maybe not even for that reason, Riot has done that, but for whatever reason, they've capped it up. That's their decision. For me, your eye, when I'm looking at this press release, I'm just looking at, I can see Valorant, right? My eyes are falling to Valorant. Yes, you should read an article from top to bottom. Not everyone does. A lot of people skim articles. So for me, my house style is capitalise the first letter of a brand name or a company name or a game name, and then lowercase the rest. That's just my house style. So there's an example there of, you can see Valorant. It's very prominent. Have a look at some other press releases here. XL Esports, they capitalise XL Esports. Now, with this one, what I wanted to talk about here is just to give you an example of how brands, they may have a style guide. Some brands will have image style guides, right? And I'll stick to those because there's no reason for me to change someone's logo. I wouldn't do that, or crop someone's logo off. No, there's no reason for me to do that. But if you look here, right, Excel Esports will talk about themselves as a British competitive gaming culture brand, and that's fine, and I respect it. My job as a journalist, make things easy, simplify. To me, Excel Esports, Esports Org, UK Esports Org, short for organisation, obviously, or team organisation, whatever you want to call them. And I'll give you an example of this. You often lecturers in journalism and so on, one of the techniques they use is if you're thinking up a headline or an opening line and you're struggling, I was taught, how would you tell a friend down the pub? Excel Esports has recruited Tim Riker as a new esports director, and someone said, who are Excel? Would you say, they're this British competitive gaming culture brand? Unlikely. I'd say, they're an esports organisation, they have teams and so on, whatever, So for me, this one, have you heard Excel have signed a new esports director? Right? Excel Esports has signed Tim Riker as a new esports director. Opening line. I probably didn't use that as my opening line, but just an example, right? That's another example of where, Excel will have that as their sort of how they present themselves, but I won't write that on my site. I'll respect them. That's how they want to present it, but I try and standardise and make things simple, because I was taught never assume. Right, never assume someone coming onto your website or reading an article understands everything in the article. Okay, so that's why I put UK Esports Org, because if someone sees it, who, for example, I don't know, maybe someone in another country has read it, who is learning about esports, doesn't know esports, they've stumbled on my website. Who are Excel Esports? UK Esports organisation. Okay, it looks like they field teams, that kind of thing. So I'm hoping that's given you some examples. I've got some other press releases here. This is another one. I don't think this is a esports one. This is promoting Monster Harvest and Death Run TV. It looks like it's So Monster Collecting Farming Sim, Monster Harvest. Right, that sounds pretty interesting. You can see here they've capped up. Not capped up, they've put in bold and italicised the game name and Death Run TV, Monster Harvest, and that's fine. I wouldn't do that on my site. Some publications might do that. Typically in actual physical publications, they might want to bold up certain words or italicize film names or song titles and so on, right? Or even quotes. Some publications will italicize quotes. And I'll just give you an example here. This is an old magazine I used to be the editor for, PC Retail or PCR, and this is the appointments page. So I don't know if you can see that well, if it's in focus that well. Hang on, let me go to my main cam here. But you can see on this appointments page, we cap up the names and put in bold of the people that have joined various companies. Now, this is an old issue. And that's purely because people can glance at this page and see, I know Danny. Oh, right, where's he joined? And then they read the rest, right? So that's done for a reason there. And then this is London United, another UK sports organisation. Obviously now they cap up their name, LDN UTD. And, people have questioned why I cap them up on my site and not other orgs. Now, for me, London United is an abbreviation. To them, it might not be. But when you read that word, LDN UTD, or collection of letters, you don't say Luden Utde, do you? It is an abbreviation for London United. Whether they, I haven't spoken to Ollie and the org about this, so I don't know their thinking behind it. But to me, LDN is an abbreviation of London, it's a shortening of London, and UTD is a shortening of United, like you might see on football scores on TV, right? So I cap it up because it's it's an abbreviation, right? If it was, maybe I'm wrong with that. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I should do cap L, lowercase d, lowercase n? cap U, lowercase t, lowercase d. I mean, I've tried that and it doesn't look right with those abbreviations. If it was London United, L, the full words, London, right, I'd cap up L and do the rest lowercase. Cap up U, NITED, lowercase. But they're not, right? But it's, to me, it's still an abbreviation. They're a London esports team. That's their name. So that's my thinking behind that. I'm going to just jump into some other bits here as well. So again, another example of abbreviations. You've got the NUL and NSC in the university esports space. Now, NUL, the reason I cap these up is, again, these are abbreviations that actually stand for something, right? So NUL back in the day was National University Esports League. Okay, now confusing since that they've actually, as I understand it, dropped that now, and it's just NUL. But it's still a National University Esports League, right? So to me, that will always be the case. So I will cap that up. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe they're going to tell me off. NSE stands for National Student Esports. Okay? If Valorant stood for something, very amazing, LAN, whatever else, sure, I'll cap it up because it's an abbreviation. But it's not an abbreviation, and that's not my house style. Okay? So here's some other examples here of abbreviations. IEM, things that I do. IEM, Intel Extreme Masters. ESL, Electronic Sports League. I mean, no one calls it that anymore, but technically, that's what it was founded at. CSGO, Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Yep, they're all things I'll cap up for that reason. Let's see what else we got here. This is another example of a Valorant one. Valorant. It just for me, it takes the attention away from the other words on the page, and a journalist shouldn't be doing that. Brands can do that, absolutely. If I was an esports org owner or brand and I wanted some bits capped up for whatever reason, I'd do it. iPhone, lowercase I, and all that. iTunes, lowercase I. That's the Apple thing, right? More power to them. And do you know what? I will say Apple is a bit of an exception, the iPhone, because if you write iPhone with a capital I and a lowercase PHONE, it looks confusing. The I, it looks like it's an L, right? So that's one very rare exception, I think, iPhone and iTunes, that I will actually do on the site, is everyone knows what it is, right? Okay, so other bits I've got here. FIFA, again, is an abbreviation. I'm not sure what FIFA stands for these days. Football something, International Federation Association, or whatever it is, but it stands for something. And then other bits we've got here. This is just an example of Fnatic's website, right? Orgs and different people have different styles. Their style is to capitalize their headlines. They completely capitalize them. And that's fine. That's their style. But, this is how I sort of standardise, right? Fnatic writes Fnatic, the word, as FNATIC, capital F, everything else lowercase. That's what I tend to do to all orgs, just to standardise, right? It's nothing personal against orgs or companies or game titles. That's my house style. Okay, and here's some other people's opinions on this as well. When Valorant launched last year, I've got some views here. This is Ben Forbes, aka Draggles. Shout out to Draggles at Riot Games. He's put, I've been told that it is Valorant, not Valorant. My lowercase brand aches, but I will acquiesce. And while we're at it, it's Riot Games, not Riot Games. Wild Rift, not Wild Rift. And so on. Right? So, he aches with that. Right? It's all cap. He's had to get used to it. Of course he does. He works for Riot. Here's another one here. Why is Valorant capitalised? Please, it's so visually impairing. Right? For some people it will annoy them, the capitalisation. And then there's this Reddit meme here. So the name is officially all in capital letters, huh? And someone said, I kind of like it. Gets me more hyped. Valorant is cool and all, but Valorant, woo, right? So I can see how esports orgs and so on want to do this. And and then someone said, I kind of like and don't at the same time. It feels like a battle screen when it's Valorant, but it gets kind of like annoying, laughing my ass off, right? So things like that. And lastly, I just wanted to talk about YouTubers as well, because they might not realise it or think about it, but they might have house styles as well. you know, you look at someone. This is Troops from Arsenal Fan TV or AFTV. He's branched off, done his own thing now. But you know, he's got a popular YouTube channel. He caps up every single headline. Okay, caps up every single headline. If for example I did caps in a headline, then yeah, Valorant is going to get capitalized as well, right? And I will say, if I do an article and I've put a tweet in, I often put tweets in from, say, someone's announced something, XL has announced a new player or whatever else. I will often put a tweet in from that player or from that org, which will, you know, include the styling, the styling that they have, capital XL, at XL, or whatever it is. I think it is at XL, all capitalised on Twitter, right? So I respect their style, but I have to put in place my house style as well, for the reasons I've said, you know, standardisation, making it easy to read, and that's just what I do. But, you know, you might say, Dom, you're out of date, and because I will say that, you know, working in magazines for years, it was 6 years I worked in magazines. That was full time. I did a bit before that as well. Auto trade, I did a bit online and a bit in print. Maybe that's got too ingrained in me, right? Because for me, if you have all these capitalisations, say you have Valorant, Sega, Lego, and all this, it's getting all janky all over the place. On paper, I think it's more of a big deal where it looks cluttered when you've got too much on a page. Online is slightly different, so I get that. So do you guys think I'm old-fashioned and out of touch? Should I change the house style? Because people say to me, oh, Upcomer, Dom, they put all the capitalisations in, or whoever else, Esports. That's, you know, that's fine. They can do what they want to do, and I respect their house style. But different publications will have different house styles. That's just how it is, you know. So yeah, let me know what you think. Am I stuck in my ways? And you know, I'm really going to annoy all of you that have sat through this now, because I do break that rule slightly, and that's for player names. Now, I don't. For me, it's slightly different. A player, it's a personal thing, right? If I'm Smooya and the S in my name is lowercase, I believe it's all lowercase. His word. I try and stick to player names, because some of them, when you standardise it, some of them just don't look right. Certain players out there, I think, not a player, but Khan at Fnatic has the capital A in his name and the lowercase CRN, right? So, yeah, there we go. I'll just show you there. There we go, capital A. CRN. So I tend to, for player names, leave it as they've put it. I did try changing it when I launched Esports News UK 6 years ago, and it didn't look right for player names. And you might call me a hypocrite. Why are you doing it for player names and not team names or game titles, Dom? That's just my house style. I just think when you've got too many, you know, if I do an article on Valorant, the word Valorant's going to be in there about 10 to 15 times. It just doesn't look right to me. When it's a player name, it's usually just once, right? Once or twice, unless it's an interview with them. But even then, you know, you put the player name at the top, and then you don't really repeat it too much throughout if it's a Q&A. So I've waffled a lot. This is almost 20 minutes, I've realised. But I wanted to do a video on this because I get this every now and then, and I want to make it easier for people. I have a video that I'll just be able to send to people and sort of explain my reasoning. You know, I'm not out here to annoy or upset anyone. Sometimes that happens, right, as a journalist, and I've just got to accept that with some of the coverage that I do. But people who know me will know I'm here to report on the good and the bad, and I love the good. I love covering the good. I love the wins, but I have to cover other stuff as well. And so yeah, I will respect people's styling and branding, but I have a house style as well. So I hope people can respect that as well. So thank you for watching. If you have any comments, please put them in the comments underneath this video. I will read them all. Any ideas or suggestions, you know, I'm not completely resistant. not unwilling to change. I'm open to ideas, but this is where I've gone down so far with the house style on Esports News UK. If everyone says I'm wrong, then fair enough. But if it's everyone from one or two orgs saying I'm wrong, that's different. So yeah, love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope this gives you a better understanding of my thought process, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.